Hello everyone, welcome back to the third session of power system analysis. So in previous session, we solved various problems on symmetrical system analysis. So in this session, we are going to discuss about selection of circuit breakers. Okay, we'll start with the next topic, that is circuit breaker selection. So the typical circuit breaker operating time, it is given in this figure. So it consists of mainly two types. One is the detection time, another one is interrupting time. So once the fault occurs in the system, so we need a protective devices in our system, right? So whenever the fault occurs, we need to limit the fault current to flow through our entire system. So that can be taken care by using some protective device. So circuit breaker is a kind of protective device which protects the entire system from the fault current. So once the fault occurs in the system, so how the circuit breaker behaves, we are going to study in this particular section. Okay, so now suppose a fault is created. So now the circuit breaker gets activated at this particular point. So after that, what will happen? So once the circuit breaker gets activated, so ultimately we are not going to stop that faulty current. So there will be some time taken for the detecting the fault. Is it clear? So during this detection time, the circuit breaker will identify whether the current can be stopped at this point, or the circuit breakers need to interrupt that current. So that decision will be taken during this period of time. So that is nothing but detection time. So whenever the overcurrent in the circuit, so it initiates the trip command. So after knowing the magnitude of this fault current, so during this detection time, it will initiate the trip command at this particular period of time. So once the trip command is initiated, so which will be provided to the contacts, right? So now contacts will separate from each other. So once the contacts separate from each other, an arc will get exerted over here at this particular period of time. So this from the initiation of the trip command to the arc extension, so that period is called as what? Interrupting time. So once if okay, let us take a simple example of your household equipment, that is nothing but a switch. So switch is a kind of protecting device where we are going to continuously turn on and turn off that particular appliance is connected to to that switch. Is it so? So during on and off period of this switch, have you observed the switch whether it is getting heated up? Yes, obviously it is getting heated up. So why it is getting heated up? So we are making a continuous contact between two points, right? So during that, what is happening, the arc is getting released between those 2 points. So that is nothing but the same operation will happen in our circuit breaker also. So once the initiation of the trip command take place, so there will be the contact between 2 points. Is it so? So those two contacts will try to separate from each other. So during that time, so arc will get extinguished. Okay, so due to that, now we are interrupting that fault current by tripping the contacts. Is it clear? So mainly there are two times we are going to see in this circuit breaker. One is detection time, another one is interrupting time. Hope it is clear. Okay, so as I told, there are two contacts. Let us consider this basic symbol for the circuit breaker. Okay, so as we know, there will be the two contacts present in our circuit breaker. So during normal operation, what will happen? The current will start to flow through these contacts, through these other protective devices to our main system. Is it so? So once the fault is created, now what will happen? So this, whatever the contact between 2 point is there, right? So it will try to separate this contact. So during that period of time, so the arc will be created between these 2 points. So the time taken to create this arc is nothing but the interrupting time. So when two current carrying contactors, so during that what will happen, when the short circuit happen, the voltage instantaneously appears across the contact. So this is nothing but the large voltage will appear across these 2 points. So due to that, the flow of current will be more. So due to that, it will produce extreme heat. So that extreme heat is nothing but electric arc, so which I explained it now itself. So when a heavy current flows through these two contacts, what will happen? It will heat up this contact between these 2 points. Is it clear? So once it gets heated up, so it will try to separate between these two contacts. So during that period, what will happen? An electric arc will be created. Is it clear? So the selection of circuit breaker mainly depends upon two factors. First one is what? The maximum instantaneous current that the breaker must withstand. So here the first point says what? The maximum current the breaker must withstand. So we need to identify at what level this breaker can withstand the heavy flow of current. So next one is the total current when breaker contact parts. We need to identify the total current which can be bypassed through these contacts also. So these are the two main factors which plays an important role for selecting our circuit breaker. In high power circuit breaker selection, so we need to multiply the sub transient current by the factor 1.6. So keep this multiplication factor in your mind. So whenever we are going to find out the sub transient current, we need to multiply it by what? 1.6 times to determine its RMS value of the current. Is it clear? So these are the various speed of the circuit breaker given. For that, a multiplying factor is given. So these are the standard values we need to take it for our calculation purpose. For 8 cycle it is around multiplication factor is around 1. For 5 cycle it is around 1.1. so like that, the various cycles its multiplication factor is given. So these cycles multiplication factor we need to consider for solving our problems. So now let us solve a problem related to the selection of circuit breaker. So this is the second problem. Let us read the given statement of this problem. A 25 MVA 13.8 kilovolt generator with XD dash. So XD dash represents what? Sub-transient reactance. Wherever double dash is there, it represents sub-transient reactance. If it is having only one dash, it represents transient reactance. If there is a no notation over here, so that time the given reactance represent steady state reactance. So this is what? Sub-transient reactance of 15% is connected through a transformer to a bus that supplies 4 identical motors. Okay, so this is the figure given for that. Here generator is there, so this generator rating is given, so 25, and its voltage and subtransient reactance is given. So this generator is connected to what now? So it connected to the transformer. So further this transformer is connected to the motors. So these motors are connected in what fashion? They are connected in parallel to each other. So now the rating of each motor is given. So each motor is having the sub-transient reactance of 20%, transient reactance, that is nothing but XT dash 30%, on a base of each motor rating is 5 MVA 6.9 kilovolt, and a three-phase transformer rating is given. So the rating of this transformer is how much? 25 MVA 13.8 for 6.9 kilovolt, which means, so from generator we are getting 13.8 kilovolt. From this transformer we are going to connect it to the bus bar having the voltage rating of how much? 6.9 kilovolt. So this transformer is having a leakage reactance of 10%. So as I told, the bus will be having how much? The voltage rating will be how much? 6.9 kilovolt. Now when a three-phase fault occurs at the point P, so now here the fault is occurring at this point P. Okay, so for this fault we need to determine what? So first we need to find the subtransient current in the fault, next subtransient current in the breaker A. So this breaker, these are the circuit breakers, 4 circuit breakers are there. So from that this one is a circuit breaker A, which is represented in our diagram. So for that we need to find the subtransient current, then momentary current in the breaker A. So we need to find out the momentary current for breaker A. Then after that we need to find out the current to be interrupted by the breaker A in 5 cycles. Is it clear? So these are the various parameters we need to determine. Okay, so as similar to the various problems we solve, first thing is what? We need to choose the base value. Okay, so now let us consider the base value, base MVA as 25 and base kilovolt of the generator, which is already given 13.8 kilovolt. Okay, so these are the given data of the generator. So generator is having, we chosen the base value of generator now. So the base value is having how much? Base power value 25 MVA and the voltage value is 13.8 kilovolt. Now after that let us find the base voltage of the motor side. Okay, so for that we need to consider this diagram. Now observe over here, so all these motors are connected to the common bus bar and further it is connected to a transformer. Okay, so the transformer is having a rating of what? 13.8 bar 6.9 kilovolt. So according to that these motors are connected to the voltage of 6.9 kilovolt. So according to that this will be connected to our LT side of the section. So according to our formula, so LT side is equal to what? ST side into LT divided by ST rating. So according to that, so we can reduce it further. So LT side is equal to what? ST side rating. So ST side rating of the transformer is how much? 13.8. So 13.8 into low voltage rating of the transformer. So what is the low voltage from these two values? The low voltage is 6.9. So 6.9 divided by high voltage rating of the transformer. So the high voltage rating of the transformer is 13.8. So if you simplify it further, we are going to get the base voltage of the motor side is how much? 6.9 kilovolt. Okay, so now similar to our previous problem, so now we need to find what? Reactance of each component. So for that first we need to identify the various component. So we are having generator, then followed by transformer, then we are having the various motors. So for each components we need to find out its respective reactance value. Okay, so let us find the reactance of generator G. Okay, so if you compare with the previous problems, here we need to find out the reactance for all the three regions. So we need to find out the reactance of subtransient reactance, so we need to find out transient reactance, and as well as we need to find out the steady state reactance from the given data. Okay, so likewise we'll start start with the subtransient reactance for the generator G, so which is already given in our problem statement. So the subtransient reactance of the generator is how much given, xd double dash 15%. So if you convert it, it will be how much, j 0.1. So the reactance of the subtransient reactance of the generator will be 0.15. But in our problem statement he haven't mentioned anything about the transient reactance. So here we are going to assume it to be equal to what, subtransient reactance, as the data is not specified. So for that reason, once again the transient reactance will be equal to 0.15. so don't get confused. If the transient reactance is not given in the problem statement, we are going to consider it as equal to subtransient reactance. Okay, now let us find the reactance of the transformer. So if you see look into the given data, so the reactance of transformer is already given over here. Is it clear? So the reactance of the transformer is how much, 10%. So if we convert it, it will be equal to 0.1. So we are going to consider it as equal to the volt per unit value, because we have chosen a same machine. Okay, so we have chosen the base values on same machine because they are connected all together. Is it clear? So for that reason, so the reactance of the transformer will remain same as of the volt per unit value. Now let us find out the reactance of various motors. So this is the formula we are having, right? So with the use of this formula, we are going to find out, so as I told before, we are going to find out reactance for each region. So for subtransient reactance, we are going to find out transient reactance, and as well as for steady state reactance. So according to that, so the subtransient reactance of each motor will be equal to what, subtransient reactance old value MVA base new divided by MVA base old, kilovolt base whole square old divided by kilovolt square base new value. So according to that, so the subtransient reactance of the motor is given how much, xt dash is equal to 20%. So you are going to consider this reactance value, not this one. Is it clear? So if you are finding for the sorry, if you are finding for the subtransient reactance, you need to consider this value only. So according to that, our subtransient reactance will be how much, j.2, and the new MVA base we chosen on the generator side, so that was 25 MVA. So 25 divided by the MVA value of the motor is how much, 5. So 25 divided by 5 into the old kVA base. So this is the old value of the motor, which is 6.9 kilovolt, divided by the new kVA voltage is 6.9. so if you simplify it further, you are going to get the subtransient reactance as 1 per unit. Now similarly find out the transient reactance for motors. So according to that, the formula will get changed over here. So we are going to find out the transient reactance for per unit value, which will be equal to what, the transient reactance of the motor old value into per unit base new divided by per unit base old, kilovolt base whole square old divided by kilovolt base square new value. So according to our formula, we need to consider what now, the transient reactance. So the transient reactance of the motor is how much, xt dash is equal to 30%. So for that reason, it will be equal to what now, j.3 into 25 divided by, so the new value is how much, 25 divided by the old value of the motor is 5 into the old value of the motor voltage value is 6.9, the new value is 6.9 whole square. So if you simplify it further, you are going to get the transient reactance as j 1.5 per unit. After finding the reactance value of each component, that is subtransient reactance, transient reactance of generator, transformer, and as well as various motors, next we need to determine the pre-fault voltage. So the pre-fault voltage at point P we already know, which is a 6.9 kilovolt from this motor. So the motor is having a rating of 6.9 kilovolt. For that reason, the point P is having the voltage of 6.9 kilovolt. But this is the actual value, right? So we want in terms of per unit. So according to that, the per unit formula is what? Per unit is equal to actual value divided by the base value. So the actual value at that point P is 6.9 kilowatt, and the base value we obtained is on same 6.9 kilowatt. So if you simplify it, you are going to get the pre-fault voltage in terms of per unit as 1 per unit. So after that we need to determine the base current. So this is the formula which we used in our previous problem to get the base value of the current. So after substituting the various values, so MVA base new is 25 MVA, kilovolt base new value is 6.9 kilovolt. So if you simplify it further, you are going to get the base value as 2091 ampere. So after finding these values, so we need to represent this entire system in terms of reactance diagram. So first component is generator. So this generator's equivalent represent is nothing but source followed by a reactance value. Then next we are having a transformer. So transformer you are going to represent it by its reactance value. Then we are having a bus bar, and each of the motors are connected in parallel fashion. So the each of the motors respective equivalent diagram is nothing but reactance followed by the voltage source. So so there are four motors are there, so you are going to connect each windings in parallel fashion, and the fault is occurring at the point P for motor 4. So let us consider this point P, and the fault is happening over here. So due to that, so you are going to short circuit these two points so that a fault will be created at this point P. So this is the equivalent reactance diagram for our power system. Okay, now each of these two windings are connected in series, but these combinations are connected in let us find subtransient fault current. So this was our equivalent reactance diagram previously we obtained it, right? So the fault is happening on at the point P. So we need to find out this fault current. Is it clear? So during this period of time, the fault current, that is nothing but subtransient fault current, you are going to represent it by IF double dash. So we are having the four combination of motors which are connected in parallel fashion. So each reactance is how much? uh, uh, 1 per unit, right? So 1 divided by, according to the parallel rule, 1 divided by each resistances or each reactances. So there are 4 reactances are there, 4 into 1 divided by 1 per unit plus. So this combination only it will get parallel with this entire combination. So these two reactances are connected in one fashion, they are connected in series. So these two reactances will get added up. So we are going to get how much? J 0.25 after adding these two reactances. Now but they are in parallel with this, right? So 1 divided by 0.25. So if you add up these two combination, you are going to get the fault current through this point. So the fault current, if you simplify it, you are going to get minus J8 per unit, but it is in terms of per unit, we want in terms of actual value. So we know the formula, right? Per unit is equal to what? Actual value divided by the base value. So from that formula, the actual value will be equal to what? Actual value will be equal to per unit into the base value. So the sub transient fault current IF double dash is equal to per unit value of that fault current is minus J8, and the base current we obtained is this much. So if you simplify it further, you are going to get this much amount of the sub transient fault current. So next from our next question is what? To find out sub transient reactance in the breaker A. Okay, so let us find. So when the fault is created at this particular point, so this point is having a breaker A in our problem statement, is it so? So when the fault is uh, happening at when the fault is created at this point, now the uh, circuit breaker bay you will get activated. So due to that, what will happen? So there will be no current will be flowing through this motor number 4. So if there is no flow of current through this motor, we are not going to consider this section. Okay, so how many sections will remain now? Only 3, is it so? So according to that, so 3 into each reactance is how much? 1 per unit, plus once again this the combination will be in parallel with this entire combination, correct? So this if you add up these two reactances, you are going to get 0.25, so 1 divided by 0.25. So if you simplify it, so you are going to get subtransient reactance at the breaker A this much, but it is in per unit. So once again we need to find out in terms of actual value. So multiply this per unit value with the base current. So the base current we initially we obtained this much. So simplify it further, you are going to get the base current, sorry, subtransient current at the breaker as this much. So third question was to find out the momentary current in the breaker A. So while discussing the topic on selection of circuit breaker, so there I mentioned to consider the multiplication factor of 1.6, right? So this 1.6 momentary current, to find out the momentary current, you are going to multiply with this value, so that you are going to get the momentary current through the breaker as this much amount of value. So next third one, what he asked to find out the current to be interrupted in a breaker A for a 5 seconds. So to find out that, so first we need to obtain the transient reactance of the module. Okay, so this is the subtransient. So previous diagram was for the subtransient reactance. Now we need to find out for the so we need to draw the transient reactance of the entire node. So this will be the transient reactance diagram. So look over here. So the transient reactance of the motor was how much? 1.5, and subtransient reactance given value, these are given value. Okay, so the subtransient reactance of the motor was 1 per unit, but here you are going to consider the transient reactance. So the transient reactance of the each motor is 1.5 per unit value. Now let us simplify it further to find out the uh, interrupted current value. Okay, so if you simplify it further, so breaker A, so once again it will get activated, so which means there will be no current flowing through the motor, fourth motor. So according to that, only 3 motors we need to consider. So 3 into its respective reactance value plus that combination resistance, sorry, reactance value we are going to get is 0.25. So if you simplify it further, you are going to get this much amount of current to be interpreted for the 5 cycles we are calculating, right? But it is in terms of per unit. So after that, so we are calculating for the 5 cycles, so we need to consider this table. The speed of the circuit breaker for the 5 cycle, the multiplication factor is how much? 1.1. So we need to multiply 1.1 with this entire value. So the current to be interrupted will be equal to what? Per unit value 1.6, and for the 5 cycles the multiplication factor is 1.1. So 1.1 into the base value. to get the actual value of the interrupted current. So this is the final answer to for the current to be interrupted by the circuit breaker for the 5 cycles. Hope it is clear. If you are having any doubts, clear it by it once. Thank you.